The loudest person in the room is always the weakest. Talking doesn't win wars. Sharing doesn't build power. Every word you speak is a weapon handed to your enemies, a map of your mind given away for free. If you want to win, stop explaining, stop announcing, stop seeking validation. Power belongs to those who move in silence and strike without warning. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He didn't just write about deception, he lived it. He knew that the moment you reveal your plans, you give others the chance to ruin them. The greatest leaders, conquerors, and strategists in history didn't waste time justifying themselves. They didn't ask for permission. They acted. While their enemies talked, they took control. Look at Julius Caesar, one of the most brilliant military minds in history. He didn't win because he talked about his ambitions. He won because he kept them hidden. When he crossed the Rubicon and took Rome, it wasn't after months of announcing his plans. It was swift, sudden, without warning. His enemies were still talking, still debating, still trying to figure out his next move. And by the time they understood, it was already too late. The lesson: stop talking, stop revealing, stop thinking that other people need to understand you. They don't. And the more you try to explain yourself, the weaker you appear. Words are for people who need permission. Action is for those who take what they want. Society tells you that sharing is good, that communication builds trust, that openness makes you a better leader, a better friend, a better person. But the truth is, sharing makes you vulnerable. The more people know about you, the more power they have over you. Think about every time you've shared a plan, a goal, or an idea. How many times has someone doubted you? How many times has someone taken what you said and used it against you? Every time you speak, you give people leverage. You let them into your head. You give them the chance to influence your decisions. And once they know how you think, they can predict your next move. Machiavelli knew this. That's why The Prince is filled with lessons on secrecy, deception, and misdirection. He understood that people don't respect those who beg for approval. They respect those who move with certainty, those who act without needing applause. Silence is a shield. The less they know about you, the more they have to guess. And when people are guessing, they are hesitant, they make mistakes, they move slower, and that's when you win. Power isn't about who's the smartest, the strongest, or the most skilled. It's about who controls the perception of those things. And perception is built in silence. Look at the most powerful people in history. The true power players never reveal everything. They let others think they understand them. But in reality, no one ever does. They move unpredictably. They keep their cards close. They strike before anyone even realizes they were a threat. If you think you can talk your way into power, you're wrong. Words don't intimidate people. Silence does. When someone speaks too much, they show their weaknesses. When someone remains quiet, others start to wonder. They start to fear. They start to assume you know something they don't. And that's when you gain control. Silence forces people to overthink. They project their fears onto you. They wonder what you're planning, what you're thinking, what you're hiding. And in that uncertainty, you have the advantage. Most people don't realize they are giving away power every single day. They post their thoughts online. They share their ambitions with coworkers. They explain their strategies to people who don't need to hear them. And then they wonder why they never get ahead. Predictability is death in the game of power. If people know what you want, they can block you. If they know what you fear, they can use it against you. If they know your next move, they can prepare for it. The most successful people never let anyone know exactly what they're thinking. They create confusion. They keep people on edge. And because of that, they remain in control. The moment you explain yourself, you weaken yourself. Strong people don't justify their actions. They act, and they let the results speak for themselves. If someone questions you, let them wonder. If someone doubts you, let them be surprised later. The best moves are the ones no one sees coming. Whether in business, relationships, or life, always keep people guessing. Don't tell them what you're working on. Don't share your next steps. Let your success appear out of nowhere. Listen, watch, learn. The more you observe, the more information you gather. And the more information you have, the better you can manipulate situations to your advantage. Silence isn't just about hiding, it's about collecting. Words are cheap. Anyone can make promises, claim they have big plans, or act like they know what they're doing. But the real winners don't talk about winning. They win. And when they do, they let their results say everything for them. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your ambitions. You don't need to share your plans to feel validated. The moment you stop seeking approval, you start gaining control. Machiavelli didn't say, "Announce your intentions and hope for the best." He said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." And what's the greatest deception of all? Silence. When you move in silence, people assume you're weak. They underestimate you. They don't see you as a threat until it's too late. That's when you win. Not because you asked for permission, not because you convinced them to agree with you, but because while they were talking, you were acting. So shut up, stop sharing, stop explaining. Stop thinking that words will save you. They won't, only action will. Move in silence, strike without warning, win without explanation. Weak men want to be understood. Strong men want to be feared. The moment people understand you, they can predict you. The moment they predict you, they can control you. That's why the most powerful people in history mastered one thing above all: mystery. Machiavelli knew that power isn't just about deception. It's about uncertainty. When people don't know your thoughts, they don't know how to react. They hesitate, they second-guess themselves. And in that hesitation, you gain control. Silence isn't just about withholding information. It's about making people doubt what they think they know. The most feared and respected leaders in history weren't the ones who explained themselves. They were the ones who remained an enigma. Look at Napoleon. His enemies never knew his next move. They assumed, they guessed, and because of that, they made mistakes. Meanwhile, he acted without hesitation, striking before anyone could react. The same principle applies in business, relationships, war, anywhere power is at stake. When people don't know what you want, they can't stop you. When they don't know what you fear, they can't exploit you. When they don't know your plan, they can't prepare for it. That's why you must always cultivate mystery. Silence alone isn't enough. If you simply refuse to speak, people will fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. The key is to guide those assumptions, to control what people think they know about you. Total silence is suspicious. Instead, say just enough to create confusion. Drop hints, misdirect, plant ideas that serve your purpose, but never reveal the full truth. Keep them chasing shadows. The greatest power doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what others think you might do. A silent threat is more terrifying than an open attack. Let people wonder what you're capable of. Let them fear the unknown. Silence doesn't mean absence. If you say nothing, others will speak for you. Control what little information you allow to spread. Make sure every word serves your purpose. People fear what they don't understand. When they can't read you, they assume the worst. That fear makes them cautious. It makes them weak. It makes them hesitate when they should act. And in that hesitation, you take control. Machiavelli didn't just teach deception. He taught strategic uncertainty. If your enemies think you are weak, surprise them with strength. If they think you are strong, let them waste time, fearing an attack that never comes. Keep them off balance, keep them guessing. And while they struggle to understand you, you will already have one. So stop talking, stop explaining, stop giving people the keys to your mind. Create doubt, control perception, cultivate mystery. Because in the end, it's not the strongest or the smartest who win. It's the ones no one ever sees coming. Silence is not just a strategy, it's a weapon. A well-placed word can control people, but absolute silence can break them. Most people talk because they are uncomfortable with uncertainty. They want reassurance, validation, or control over how others perceive them. But those who truly hold power never feel the need to explain themselves. They understand that silence makes others desperate, uneasy, and weak. When you refuse to respond, people start overanalyzing. They wonder what you're thinking. They assume the worst. They try harder to get your attention. This is how you make people dance to your rhythm, by giving them nothing and forcing them to fill in the gaps themselves. Look at negotiations. The moment you reveal your position, you give away your leverage. But if you remain silent, the other person starts second-guessing. They begin to wonder if they've overplayed their hand. Their confidence wavers, and that's when you strike. The same principle applies to power struggles, personal relationships, and even warfare. The less people know about your intentions, the more cautious they become. They hesitate, They fear making the wrong move. And in that hesitation, you gain control. Silence isn't just about keeping information to yourself. It's about using absence as a form of psychological pressure. Here's how it works. People crave responses. When you stay silent, you force them to question everything. If someone insults you and you don't react, they feel powerless. If someone expects approval and you don't give it, they become insecure. The lack of response is more powerful than any comeback. The first person to speak in a high-stakes situation is usually the one who loses. If you stay quiet, the other person will rush to fill the silence. They will reveal their thoughts, their fears, and their weaknesses, all while you remain in control. Weak people ramble, they over-explain, they seek approval. Strong people don't waste words. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you say nothing, your presence alone becomes a statement. Silence forces people to confront their own insecurities. When you don't respond, they start doubting themselves. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They overthink, and in the process, they weaken themselves without you lifting a finger. Machiavelli understood that power is perception. If people see you as mysterious, they assume you are powerful. If they don't know what you're thinking, they assume you are dangerous. Silence isn't just about not speaking. It's about making your silence feel intentional, controlled, and dominant. When someone demands an answer, wait. When someone pressures you to speak, pause. When people try to pull information from you, give them nothing. And when you finally do speak, make sure every word serves your purpose. Because in the end, silence is the most powerful language of all. It makes people uneasy. It forces them to react. And while they scramble for certainty, you remain in control. So shut up, say less, move in silence. Watch as the world bends to your will. Weak men talk, they reveal their plans, they explain themselves, and then they wonder why they never win. The world does not reward those who share. It rewards those who know when to stay silent. Oversharing is an act of self-sabotage. Every word you say gives people another angle to manipulate you, another piece of your mind for them to dissect. When you tell people what you're working on, they can block you. When you announce your ambitions, they can prepare for you. When you share your thoughts, they can counter them. Machiavelli knew this. That's why he advised rulers to say only what was necessary, never more. He understood that knowledge is a weapon, and the moment you give it away, you are disarming yourself. The greatest rulers, conquerors, and strategists in history did not succeed by explaining their moves. They succeeded by making others react to them. History belongs to those who understood the power of silence. The greatest emperors, military generals, and business leaders didn't rise to power by broadcasting their moves. They won by keeping their strategies hidden until it was too late for anyone to stop them. Genghis Khan never told his enemies when he would strike. He let rumors spread, let fear build, and then attacked when they least expected it. Vladimir Lenin spent years in exile, saying little, revealing nothing. And then, when the moment was right, he returned to Russia and seized control before anyone could react. Julius Caesar knew how to control perception. He played the role of a humble servant while secretly building the most powerful military machine in Rome. And by the time his enemies realized what he had done, he was already in power. Talking too much is a weakness. It exposes you. It makes you vulnerable. It invites opposition. Every great strategist, from Machiavelli to Sun Tzu, understood this fundamental truth. Power is not held by those who speak. It is held by those who decide what is spoken. Power isn't just about staying silent. It's about becoming invisible. The most dangerous player in any game is the one you don't see coming. When people can't track your moves, they can't block you. When they don't know your strengths, they can't counter you. When they don't understand your intentions, they hesitate. That hesitation is your advantage. This is what I call the ghost strategy. Winning without being seen, striking without warning, controlling without exposing yourself. Machiavelli understood this. The most ruthless winners in history mastered it. And now, you will too. The easiest person to defeat is the one who follows a pattern. Break your routines. Keep people off balance. Never let them feel like they have figured you out. Let other people take the credit while you pull the strings. Power is best wielded when no one knows you're the one holding it. Sun Tzu said, "All warfare is based on deception." The The greatest victories happen before the battle even begins. Your enemy should never see the attack. They should only see the results. When Napoleon planned his military campaigns, he never let his enemies understand his movements. He marched his armies through terrain they thought was impossible. He tricked them into expecting an attack from one direction, only to strike from another. His genius wasn't just in battle, it was in the fact that by the time his enemies reacted, he had already won. How to apply this to life? Act first, speak last. Don't talk about what you're going to do, just do it. The time for explanations is after victory, not before. Confuse your opponents. Let people assume one thing while you're doing another. Let them think you're weak when you're strong. Let them think you're failing when you're building. Move before they react. Speed kills hesitation. While others are analyzing, debating, and waiting, you should already be executing. By the time they understand what happened, you've already won. Some of the most powerful people in history never sat on the throne. They didn't need to. True power isn't about the title, it's about the influence behind the scenes. Kings and presidents are often just figureheads, while the real decisions are made by the unseen hands controlling them. Take Cardinal Richelieu, the man who ruled France from the shadows. He was never king, but he controlled the king. His name wasn't on the throne, but every major decision passed through him. He didn't need the crown because the real power was in the influence, not the position. How to control without exposure. Make others think they have power. Let them believe they're in control while you guide their actions. The best way to rule is by making others think it was their choice all along. Avoid the spotlight. The moment you become the face of power, you also become the target. Stay behind the scenes where you are untouchable. Speak through others, instead of making demands yourself. Have others say what you want to be said. This way, you maintain power while avoiding resistance. The ultimate level of power is complete invisibility. If no one knows who you are, no one can stop you. If no one understands your strategy, no one can counter it. If no one even realizes you exist, you can control everything while taking zero risks. Imagine running an empire where no one even knows your name. Imagine making millions while everyone assumes you're nobody. Imagine pulling the strings of an entire operation without ever being exposed. That is the highest form of control. Most people will never understand this strategy. They will keep talking, keep sharing, keep exposing themselves. They will announce their every move. They will make themselves easy to stop, easy to manipulate, easy to predict, and they will lose. But you know better. You know that power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being unseen, from being untouchable, from moving in silence while others waste their breath. By the time they realize what you've done, you'll be too far ahead for them to do anything about it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember, real power moves in silence.